Hey guys, Amy White from Worthy Written Words. Today we're going to be working on Ask, Seek, and Knock, and that is in our Book of Mormon in 3rd Nephi chapter 18, verses 15 through 25. The first thing is to get some scrap paper underneath your page to protect it, and gather the supplies that you're going to be needing. We're going to have 4 different acrylic paints, and you'll want a flat edge paintbrush. Mine is about a 1/2 inch wide. So ignore these blue marks at the top of the page. We're going to start with the yellow first, and you'll see why here in a second. We're going to start with making varying lengths of rectangles and squares, and you do that by using the side of the brush to make flat edges. So I take the stroke of the brush and I go down, and then I fix it by going up, and then I fix the tops and the bottoms. So you can kind of see as I do this slowly here, just kind of my method to make sure that they are all smooth and not jagged edges from the paint bristles. And you want to make them so that some are longer, some are shorter, and you can see that putting the yellow on top of the greenish blue color, it's kind of hard to have the lighter color cover the darker color. So by starting with the lighter color, it'll be a lot easier to overlap it with the dark color after that. As always, the product description with links will be in the video description below. And if you choose to use different colors, that works too. You can always choose your favorite colors that you think will look the best in your book and make it more personal to your tastes and your likes. The idea is to do all of one color at a time for the whole page, and then rinse your brush out and start the next color. And I'm going to leave a spot open on the bottom right hand side of the page. That's where we're going to be putting our door, and underneath the door is where you can add journaling or pictures or whatever you want. But I'm going to leave that space blank and not fill it up with dots so that you can write your own personal testimony about prayer there. Once we're done doing these yellow strokes, it'll be time to do the ones that I've already done at the top in the turquoise green color, and then you can catch up to where we are here. So here I'm going to continue with the turquoise green, and I'm going to overlap this yellow at the top with the turquoise green. It'll be a lot easier doing that. And I'm just going to continue working my way down the page with this green. I really like these two colors. This green matches the door perfectly, and I got the yellow and the green from Target. I've never used their paints before, but this was the first time where I needed some, and that was the best place for me to get it. And I'm using my heat gun tool in between coats to just speed it up so they can dry faster, so I can continue to work instead of having to wait for them to dry. After I'm done with this green-blue color, I'm going to then go over it with red and then finally with black. Next, I'm going to use my white gel pen, and on top of all of the black spaces, I'm going to put plus signs, and I'm doing it in a pattern of 5, so there's 4 in the corners and 1 in the middle. And I'll keep doing that pattern repeatedly over all of the black marks. Sometimes to make it look a little bit different, I might do it backwards or only do half slashes when they are off of the page or off of the little rectangle. So here you can see I'm doing it backwards, where instead of it being in the corners, it's reversed. And that's just to kind of add more interest. Here I accidentally smudged some paint from my watch, and it's great that if that's the case, you can just add another square if you need to, like I'm doing there, rectangle. And a lot of the times I'm adding these squares because I messed up underneath somewhere. So I'm continuing to add this with the white gel pen on the black. And then when I'm done with the black, I'm going to do circles on the red, on all the red ones. And they're going to be different sized circles, usually in groups of 3 to 5. Here you can see where there's an overlap between the two. I kind of put them heavily on the overlap part so that it's not as noticeable that you can see through them. And I'm just doing it in the corners and varying it. Now we're going to take a paper cutter and cut out the door so that all of the excess white is gone and it's just the door frame. And we're going to use a cutting mat underneath us. And this is an eyelet hole punching tool. You could use anything really to make these holes where the doorknobs are going to be. This is one that I got years and years and years ago. So they sell all sorts of different kinds of eyelet tools. Here I am punching a hole on either side of the door, and it doesn't come with doorknobs, so I'm just kind of eyeballing where they would go. And then inside the holes, I'm going to put the brads that are part of the kit. When you put these brads in, you want to separate them on the back side and have it so that they're vertical. You don't want them to be horizontal or it'll get in the way when you go to make the doors. So make sure that they're up and down the prongs on the back side. And you need to do this first before you attach the back. So we're going to make the back fit the doors. See how I'm making sure it's big enough to fit those doors, and then you're going to glue the whole thing on top of it. I'm just using an acid-free glue stick. Now using the X-Acto knife, I'm going to carefully on the cutting mat cut along the top, the bottom, and the middle of the door in order to make the door flaps that will open up. And I'm following the lines that are on the picture already, and they don't have to be perfectly straight. Now you can fold the doors open, and you don't have to use a bone folding tool, but I'm using a bone folding tool to just make the crease really well represented, and that's how you use one of those, but totally not necessary. And I'm bending the door flaps so that they are easy to open. Here you can see how the second yellow piece of paper will work. It will work as the back side for the door. But before we glue that on, we're going to first add the flowers and the heart to it. That's part of your kit. So you want to cut out really close to the stamp, because since we're putting this on a colored background, any of the white will show. And when you are gluing these on, make sure that you leave enough room for the border. You can see I have two little marks on the bottom right hand side of the door, and this is because I wanted to make sure that when I put these on, then I left enough space. So using clear gesso,
you have a small bottle of it in your kit,
and just any sort of brush, we put this over the entire piece of paper, even though we're only going to be adding these to the bottom. If you only do partial, then you can kind of tell over time. And after you put the gesso down, you put these stamps right on top of it. And then you're going to cover the top of the stamps on this tissue paper with another coat of gesso. Now we're going to take that and glue it to the back of the door, only putting glue around the edges. Now ignore that in this video part, it's missing the flowers and the heart. I had to do it several times in order to get it all figured out the best way. So pretend like this has the flowers and the heart on the inside. Next, I'm going to use this texture crackle paste from Ranger, and this is in a previous kit, Cultivate kit, from the Poison by Degrees. And again, this one is optional as well. I'm adding it very thick, and a tip would be something I didn't do that I think would be very helpful would be to distress your paper a little bit with like a nail file first. Because it's glossy cardstock, this crackle paste doesn't stay on very well. It chips off a lot, and that's why I'm putting it on so excessively, because I know I'm going to lose a lot of it. But I think if you were to distress the paper a little bit around the edges, then it would probably hold better. But you can see how cool it is here after it's dried. And I've cut out these word strips, and I'm just going to bend the extra part and attach it to the inside of the door using a photo split or double-sided sticky tape. I only show how I attached one of them, but you're just going to repeat this process, and you can fit about 6 of them on the door. And because some are longer in length, I kind of do them so that one is above the other one. So you rotate on each side of the door, and I could fit about 6 of them, so you can choose your favorite 6 word strips and add them. And then when those are attached, we're going to attach the entire door tip in using the washi tape that came in your kit. You want to not use all of the washi tape because you want to save some of it as accent pieces. But make sure that you stick it on really good, because it's kind of a heavy tip in, and you want it to stay put so that when you bend it, it'll stay there. So now I'm going to use some extra washi tape, and I'm going to rip it into smaller pieces and add it just from random locations, maybe 3 or 4 times on the page. I'm going to be putting the Ask, Seek, and Knock stickers on, and from the few times that I've put this page together, I prefer to have them closer together rather than farther apart. I think it just looks better. And I try and line them up so that the seek and is in an empty space. And then the red pops against that yellow, black, and turquoise. Here I'm going to use a glaze black jelly roll pen. I've done this layout 2 times now, and I've done it without the glaze and just a regular black jelly roll pen, and either one works great. But I'm outlining the ask letters as well as the knock strip. This next step is something I like to do on all of my pages. It's completely optional, but I have a date stamp from Heidi Swapp and a jet black ink stamp pad, and I just like to put the date on the day that I finish that layout. And then using a black jelly roll pen, I'm underlining all of the things that Jesus is teaching us about praying. And these are the things that are mentioned in the strips inside of the door. And that's it. I hope you guys liked this tutorial. We'll see you next time. Bye.